Welcome to Blue Jackets Social Media Day here at Nationwide Arena as the Blue Jackets officially kick off training camp as they're getting set to start the 2014-2015 season. I'm Bob McElligott, joined by Jody Shelley. Did we not just do this a week ago? It doesn't seem like months have gone by, does it?
Not really. Not now we're back in this setting. It definitely doesn't. But, boy, it's nice to be back.
It is nice to be back, and I'm sure the players feel the very same way just down the hallway from where we are right now. Obviously, Jody, there's a lot of anticipation going into this season. I think it's fair to say that this year was the most electric summer since the Blue Jackets have come into existence. A lot of buzz about this team all summer long, and obviously the majority of it is very, very good. There's the Ryan Johansson situation that's going on right now that we won't ignore, but the fact of the matter is this team is ready to get back out on the ice and to prove that they're even better than what you saw last year.
You know, it's interesting, Bob. I go back to this point last year where all they talked about all summer was almost making the playoffs, and they went through the whole offseason talking about that. Well, they took a step at the end of last year, making the playoffs, going to the first round against the Pittsburgh Penguins, and then watching the Rangers go to the Stanley Cup Finals. That's motivation, and I think these guys were they probably felt a few emotions. I think one was jealousy. You're jealous when you see teams like that go further, especially when you know you can beat them. And I think that you've seen them around here. They're chomping at the bit to get out there and skate. The physicals and medicals are now done to this point. Now the next thing to do is have a dinner tonight with the team, and then tomorrow camp starts. They're on the ice, and they've been waiting a long time for it. So, yeah, a lot of excitement building, but here it is. It's upon us, and that's what they wanted.
Yeah, I want to go back to what you talked about last year when we were sitting in this very same spot. You had just gotten done playing. You're just going into this role, trying to figure out what this team was all about, a team that just missed the playoffs, missing out by a tiebreaker. And when it got to this point last year, a lot of the questions and a lot of the talk was about the previous season. And I'm sure that's going to happen again. But, again, the difference between it is you had a team last year at this time that missed the playoffs. Now you have one that won its first 2 playoff games ever, and there are expectations. And I know you talk about this a lot from your time in San Jose and New York and Philadelphia. How nice is it to be with a team that has expectations to win, not just a hope to win?
Well, and that's really the point you want to get to. And listen, the offseason, you're always going to talk about what happened the season before because that's just how it is. The fans, yourself, your family, they want to talk about what you did or didn't do the previous season, how you dropped the ball or how you did great things. That's just human nature, and that's all over now. The new chapter starts. But, yeah, the expectations are now higher. And that's where you want to be. And it's not from just the outside sources. It's not just the media. It's not just the fans. It's not everyone in the organization. It's the players in the room. They expect more. They're extremely disappointed on how they took a step, but they felt like they could have done more. And that's a real positive thing. And you can tell anyone, any walk of life, when you have the players or someone you're trying to motivate do that themselves from within, you got something going. So there's a good thing going here. They got to keep the snowball rolling, though, starting tomorrow.
All right, this is how it's going to work here today. This is basically a live broadcast. You know as much as we know right now as far as what we're doing here today. And what I mean is people will walk through this door. Well, yeah, maybe you do know more. People will walk through the door. They'll come up here. They'll sit down. Whoever it is, and we're pretty blind as well as to who's going to come in here. We're going to ask them questions. If you have questions to ask, you can do that via Twitter, Facebook, whatever social media platform that you want to use. You can ask your questions, and we will relay those questions to the players and get the answers for you. It's very relaxed. It's very laid back. It's very much, Jody, what it should be at the beginning of camp, and you know, especially for a season with a lot of excitement building.
Well, maybe relax for us, but the players who have just they've got the physicals out of the way. Now the anticipation to get on the ice is, and I think we have our first guest ready to come on here.
I think we do. Come on up, Timmy. Tim Erickson is joining us. This is as live as it gets, Tim. Come up and
Tim,
take a seat right here on the hot seat.
Good to see you. Thanks for joining us.
What's up, buddy?
What's going on?
Right out of the shower?
Pretty much, yeah. It rushed me over here.
For this special event?
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming.
They give you a warning for this? You just grab it?
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good.
Let's talk about your summer. Yeah, actually, let's go back one step prior to that. Last year was an up-and-down year for you. You spent a lot of time here last year where you weren't getting into games, went down to Springfield. You were about a point a game guy down there in Springfield playing on the blue line. This summer, what was your mindset and your focus coming into this camp? What do you hope changes for you?
I mean, it's obviously been pretty much 12 months thinking about it. So it's of course I'm very excited to get it going, and summer's been it's been important for me. You know, trying to get stronger and a bit faster.
You were in here a lot this summer. There were a lot of guys that were here a lot this summer, and what does that say for the mindset and how much guys want to be here and they want to get better as a group?
It's good. I mean, I think it's great for chemistry. You know, all the guys are here, or most of the guys are here, and quite a few young guys were here. So that's good. It's been a good summer working out with Kevin, and yeah, so all positive.
And you talk about Kevin. That's the strength coach for the Blue Jackets, and so you stayed here and worked out. You were anticipating today, which is the physicals, which is the pull-ups, the squats, the Wingate test, and of course your health test. How did this morning go?
That's good. Yeah, felt pretty good, and made some big improvements from last year, and that's what we're looking for, right?
Yeah, and you're glad you got that out of the way? Because I know when I played, man, I was like, oh my goodness, I cannot wait to get that out of the way and go eat a cheeseburger.
Oh yeah, that's always a day you dread, and kind of, so it's nice that it's done.
And when you look at tomorrow, there's 2 groups going on the ice. Are you excited to get out there and just get that first practice under your belt?
Yeah, we've been skating for quite a while, but there's no coaches out there really, so it's exciting to get going for real here.
Yeah, well, that's a big thing too, and change that mindset to thinking about the systems and your role as that that one defenseman, not try to take the puck up the middle and toe drag and score on the summer hockey style.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a big difference. I think we've been pretty good lately. This last few weeks, just trying to get into camp shape and playing a little bit harder.
It's funny the way it works too, because you get out there tomorrow, and by Sunday you've got to play in a preseason game already. So there's not a lot of adjusting. As you said, you guys have been skating, so it's not like you're just walking in, jumping on the ice for the first time. But it's pretty quick turnaround, isn't it?
Yeah, it is pretty quick. We were just talking about that Monday. Like, we got a game this week. I was like, it feels kind of quick, but that's good though. You get going right away, and that's games that you want to play, right?
In those preseason games, they do come fast and furious. Do you have any idea? I don't know if Todd has even said anything as far as how many of those games that you're going to get into. I would imagine for you, trying to make a really good impression to come out of camp, you'd like to play as much as you can here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I want to be on the ice, and we haven't really heard too much. I mean, camp just started today, and I'm sure they'll let us know pretty soon.
Now, Timmy, you've been here all summer, like we spoke of earlier. The Columbus area is a really nice area, and there's a lot to do. Anything you've done, concerts, traveling, anything that you want to share with us here about the summer in Columbus?
It's been a good summer. I went to the Luke Bryan concert. I enjoyed that. It was a good time. And
where was that?
That was in where was that? It was in Cleveland. And,
such a good time, he doesn't remember where it was.
No, it was fun, and like you said, there's a lot of things you can do around here, and I really enjoy Columbus.
Oh, good, yeah, and it's interesting. The zoo, Easton, all that. You do that a few times, but it's good for you to get out of town and see the other parts of Ohio too. Did you get home to Sweden?
I was home for a month. Right after the World Championship, I went home for a month. Came over here July 1st, and I've been here since then.
How was that experience, the World Championship, for you?
It was good. It was a lot of fun. You get to represent your country, and the World Championship is a lot bigger in Europe compared to over here. Like, people don't really care too much about it over here, but it's back home. It's a pretty big deal, and so it's a lot of fun.
Good. All right. Well, let's go right to Twitter and get you a question or two here from the fans. This is a very broad question, so I don't know. You can take this any direction you want to take it. CBJ or Die says, "Have you ever had any rookie mistakes?"
Like off the ice, or
that's what I'm saying. It's broad. Yeah, some of them we're not going to talk about.
Rookie.
Millions probably. First year coming over from Europe, I was pretty clueless. My dad probably gave me a few tips though, so I didn't do too many like big ones, but for sure I had some. I've had some. I can't really off the top of my head. I don't even know.
Put the skates on the right feet.
I'm sure. I forgot to put a tie on one time. I remember that.
Rookie.
That was a rookie mistake. But that was in New York, and Mike Rupp helped me out. He brought an extra one, so he helped me out there. So I got away pretty
what
good.
A nice guy.
Yeah, what a nice guy. Eh?
But feeding off of that, now that you've been in a few camps, what kind of comfort level do you look back at that first camp where you're in here and you're like wondering, or your first camp would have been in New York, I guess, wondering what's going on, how things run, and now you're here, you've been here all summer. It must be a nice feeling for you.
Yeah, for sure. The first time you come over here and from Europe, you're not really used to the whole camp thing, and kind of new to it, and So it's good to have a little bit of you've been around for a few camps now. Is this good?
Veteran. It's good to have that veteran presence.
Hey, Steve Little has the next question. He asks what's it going to take for Tim Erikson to finally crack this roster on a regular basis? And you can do it. He says he's a huge Timmy fan. I'll ask you, what did they tell you at the end of last year that you needed to work on to get better? And what do you feel that you need to do to finally crack this roster on a regular basis?
Strength. That was a big thing, getting stronger, and that's certainly something we worked on this summer, and that's the biggest thing, and I agree with that.
What was there anything specific when it comes to strength? Just the overall body, or did they want you to work upper body, lower body? Anything like that?
Just overall, I think, and with strength you get a little bit quicker too, so that'll help my foot speed on the ice too.
All right, let's go back to another one here. Nick Biss says, what would you say is your biggest strength as a defenseman, and what can you bring to this team?
I'd probably say hockey sense. I think I'm pretty good at reading the game, and I like to think I can play in both ends, and I know I want to show the coaches they can trust me.
Here's an Instagram question. What has you the most excited for the 2014-15 season? Carl Nemister.
Most excited? It's a lot of things. I mean, first of all, I just want to crack the lineup and be here, and that's really all that's in my mind right now.
So starting the moral good impression, and it sounds like you've already made a good impression over the last little bit you've been here, because Todd Richards, the coaching staff, they take notice to you and they like what you bring. So there's definitely a spot that could be yours. So that's got to be exciting for you coming to this point.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's like you said. I just wanna prove to the coach that they can trust me, and they can trust me, being out there on the ice and in both ends.
When the question is, what are you excited about? We were just talking about the fact you spent a lot of time here this summer. I know everywhere I went, people were talking about the Blue Jackets all summer. As players, how much feedback did you get from fans when you were here and just out and about?
You can certainly tell a difference. Just from the 2 years I've been here, it's grown. Fans are excited, and it's awesome to see.
All right, our next question comes from Alexis, who wants to know very simply, who is your hockey idol?
Probably I would say Nick Lidstrom. I mean, it's pretty common answer for a Swedish defenseman, right? And
that's a good pick.
Yeah, I had Brian Leetch too. I was obviously followed Rangers a little bit growing up with my dad playing there, so I was a big Brian Leetch fan too.
Do you play like either of those guys?
Oh, sorry. There's some two pretty good players there. I don't want to compare myself to any of those guys.
Well, like there's players that say, or you ask a question, who do you play like? Who do you try to emulate when you're on the ice? Not that you're playing exactly like them, but they made smart decisions. They were good with the puck. Not necessarily putting up Hall of Fame numbers yet, but I mean, you got to get on that path, don't you?
I mean, you look up to those guys and just try to, growing up, I would watch a lot of NHL, and you look at all those guys, Ray Bourque, everyone, just kind of, pick up on little things, and I don't know. I think I'm still just, playing my game though, but certainly you pick up on small things that they do on the ice.
Well, they all have good hockey sense, the three guys you mentioned, so maybe you don't even know it, but maybe you play like them a little bit.
Where's your dad rank on your list?
My dad? I don't know about that. I never got to see him play, actually. I was too young, so.
What about just in the advice department? I would hope he ranks pretty high there.
Yeah, he's been very helpful in that part. He was always good though. Never really put any pressure on me to play hockey or anything. It's just always kind of there if I wanted some advice.
Oh, look at this for a segue. This is a beautiful segue. Did you train for this? Never put any pressure on you to play hockey. The next question comes from Frederick Cairo, who says, if you had to play any other sport, what would it be and why?
Probably soccer then. I played soccer growing up. I'm a pretty big soccer fan, and I would never do that, but I'm a big fan of cycling too. I follow Tour de France and all of that, but I would never do that though. So probably soccer.
Good pick. Well, thanks for being here, Tim. We're going to wrap this up. We got some more guests coming, I guess. So we appreciate you taking your time. You probably got a little nap coming in this afternoon, and then a meal, and get ready, and good luck tomorrow.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
He just gives away all the secrets, doesn't he?
Well, the nap, that's public knowledge, isn't it? Are you going to make it home before you fall asleep, you think?
I'll try. try. Yeah,
Timmy, thank you very much.
Thanks,
Great to see you, buddy.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you being
Tim
here.
Erickson
Thanks.
joining us here on Blue Jackets Social Media Day. Oh, you can go ahead. They're not going to turn that camera off.
No.
You can just it's as live as it gets again here today. So thanks to Tim Erickson for being our first
Great
guest
questions,
today.
Bob. I like
you?
that. By you.
Play it all.
And I like the Twitter questions. I thought that was a nice touch because I was running out of questions. So thanks to the Twitter guys.
All right, keep those coming. We'll get another guest here shortly. I want to remind you to go to bluejackets.com. You can check out the interactive seat viewer. What this thing does is you can basically go to a seat and see what the view is like from that particular seat. It's very easy to do. So pick your location of where you'd like to sit. Look at that seat viewer right now. You can purchase your seats and guarantee your tickets for opening night and access to tickets for the 2015 NHL All-Star Game. Blue Jackets ticket representative is available right now to answer your questions. You can do that either through a live chat or you can call toll-free at 1-800-NHL-COLS, your virtual seat viewer. Take a seat, please. Right now, head coach Todd Richards says, first day, I already have to sit down with these two guys. Are you kidding me?
Oh, boy. No, I feel bad for him.
Welcome, Coach. How are you?
I'm good. Getting ready for the first day.
All right, what's the first day like for you? What's this day like for you where they're doing the strength testing and all of that? What are you doing today?
You know, there's a lot of worry because, again, you just want to make sure everything's right. So just trying to finalize every detail, getting ready for tomorrow, getting ready for tonight. And there's not a lot of time before our first game's on Sunday, especially an afternoon game. So you're trying to get a lot of information, a lot of things to the players without overloading them. And that's one thing you have to be careful of. So it's trying to figure out, just trying to do the right thing so the players are ready to go on Sunday.
And well, I'm just curious because I've been at a number of camps, and sometimes it's more teaching, more work. You worry about all things, like you said right off the top, but you have a nice balance here. You have a good core group coming back. Most of the guys will be back. They know your systems. How much time will you spend on refreshing and teaching right away?
Well, it's interesting you asked that, and my question to you is, how much did you remember over the summer as far as systems and what you needed to do?
Want me to answer that?
I'm not sure.
I don't think I want to answer that. I used to sit there blank-minded and be like, "What's the forecheck again?" So it's good.
Well, a lot of that is, and I think you have to go in with the intention of, or the understanding for me is just thinking that the players, again, we're starting from square one, and X's and O's and systematic play. I think coaches are always thinking about it. Players have a lot more to think about, and it's got to be more of a reaction to them. So we're going in thinking that we got to teach it all over again. It should be, once we get into it, once we start talking about it, it should start to come back quickly for our players. And what we're looking for is hopefully the players to help out a lot of the young guys and a lot of the new guys that are new to the organization, new to the team. Sometimes these players don't want to come up and ask coaches the questions, so they rely on maybe asking other players. And when you have good leaders, which we do in the room, guys that have been around and smart players, they're able to pass on that information. So they're a lot of times able to coach the young players.
Yeah, and then you have 2 days of practice, and you get right into a split squad game or 2 games on Sunday. Is that an advantage? Is that something that you like to get into, or would you like to have a few more days if you could?
Players want to play games, coaches want to practice. So I would like to have maybe a couple more days of practicing. And again, we're trying to get in a lot of things. One of the things I think that's worrisome for me, I can't speak for all coaches, but is you're worried about the first game coming out and people sitting back and looking at your team playing and going, these guys don't have a clue what they're doing. And that's I think the biggest fear as a coach is you want to come out and look organized and you want to have structure to your game, so it looks like you're coaching and educating your players, and when you only have 2 days, sometimes that's a difficult thing to do.
All right, let's get a question for you here off Twitter. Fro wants to know, what do you look for from the players the first couple of days before that first preseason game?
Understanding the systems and getting the systems. One thing that we're going to stress and work with early on is when we don't have the puck. So our tracking, working back into defensive zone coverage, and what I talked about, and I got this question a lot yesterday during the media luncheon, was I had talked at the end of the year that we got to play faster, and that seemed to be the kind of catchphrase and the questions directed at me. And I don't think it's something that – I think the players put in time. We'll see by the test results today, but I really think we had players that really invested this summer, working hard to get stronger, and that'll lead to hopefully more speed out on the ice. But it's not – I don't think it's – when I was talking about faster, it's not literally sitting at our game and watching going, oh, or a radar gun out and saying, oh, that guy's 2 miles an hour faster. That's not what we were talking about. I think in the speed that I'm talking about in playing faster is just more structure in our game, being more organized, and so it's not as chaotic. I think we did a good job of it last year, and I thought we were building towards that, but we have to get better at that. And I think if we work on that during this training camp, and that's our focus, and we work hard at it, we will be better and we'll be a faster team.
You know, as Jody said, you have 2 games coming up on Sunday. You've got an afternoon game at Carolina, evening game here. How do you approach that as a coach? How do you decide who plays in what game, what guys are going to play, what guys aren't going to play at all in that first day?
You know, I was a young player once, and you know, I was a second-round draft pick, so I think I got a little bit more opportunities to play, at least earlier in my career. As it went on and the years passed, I think my window of opportunity started to diminish, and I understood what camp was about. There are guys at camp that do get more looks than others, and whether it's fair or unfair, that's just the way that it is. And there are guys that come in and surprise, and you watch guys at Traverse City, maybe. You know, you came into the camp expecting one guy to do well, and this guy did well, and he's opened up your eyes, and he caught your attention, so he will get an opportunity. And that's what you're looking for at this camp, and you're looking for a chemistry, you're looking for certain guys to step out and do certain things, so you give them opportunities, but it's really trying to figure out, you know, who our best 20, 23 players are going to be to start October.
Todd, it's an exciting time here in Columbus, and last year at this point, we were talking about earlier, all the talk last summer was about almost making the playoffs. You guys took a step this year, and the first round elimination to Pittsburgh. The buzz is in the city. I know you spend a lot of time here in the offseason. You interact with the fans. You hear the questions that we hear. How much difference and how much more excited are you at this point now than you were last year?
Well, really excited. And you know, it's about the expectations. It was a disappointing but enjoyable summer. It was a disappointing but a proud end to our season. What I mean by that is, you know, I think everyone with the team and with the organization really believed that we could win. So it was disappointing that we lost. But where we came from, where we were at 2 years ago, and where we've gotten to, you know, in a year and a half, 2 years, is something to be excited about and something to be proud about. But there's still a lot of work ahead of us. So there's a lot of different emotions involved when you're starting the season. You know, and then there's all these other things that are going on that affect the team. But nonetheless, we're starting to see these young players, these young draft picks starting to come into our system now. You know, when you struggle for years, you end up acquiring draft picks. You get good draft picks because you trade players away. And we're starting to kind of reap those rewards of those struggles and those bad years. But you can't have the attitude thinking that relying on past success or thinking that you're a better team because you've got these young players. It's always about the work that you put in. Work always have to come before the skill.
And you mentioned expectations, and I know your job now is to keep the foot on the gas pedal. I mean, that's what the nature of a coach, and you do a great job of that. But do you sense that the room is taking over a little bit? Like towards the end of the year last year, I think we noticed it. The players knew their own expectations. And after that loss to Pittsburgh here, they were disappointed. And it was good to see that because I think that's a huge step.
Well, it's what you want. You know, I think if you ever become satisfied, if reaching the playoffs was good enough, I think players would have looked at the series and went, well, okay, we did well. And that gets into what I had said earlier about everyone in that room and everyone in this organization. I think our fans as well really believed that we were going to win. You know, down 4-0, we scored that third goal. I really thought we were getting the fourth goal. And I've talked with a lot of people here in Columbus. I've talked with other coaches in the league that were watching that game, and they really thought that we were going to score that fourth goal. So it is about a belief. It's about an attitude, and you know, it was a good attitude last year about wanting to get better, wanting more. The players have invested some valuable time this summer getting themselves better. stronger. But now the attitude has to continue. It can't be just thinking that we're going to show up tomorrow, get out on the ice, and we're going to pick up right where we left off. The players put in a lot of hard work last year. They sacrificed a lot of things, and we had some struggles. We dealt with a lot of adversity, but they fought through it. And that's what we have to realize. So when we start the year, it's about putting our hard hat on and going back to work.
All right, let's go back to Twitter and get another question. This one coming from Shannon, who wants to know, with so much young talent, how hard is it for you to set up lines to ensure that each is represented by some guys that have experience?
Well, it is a challenge, and it's a good problem to have right now. Because there have been years, there's been teams that I've been associated, whether a head coach or assistant coach, where you don't have as much depth, and it's great having that. As I said, we're starting to reap the rewards of some off years when we didn't do so well. We acquired a lot of picks, and now these picks are starting to come through. And as I said, I was up in Traverse City. It's a great accomplishment for our young guys. They went up and won that. It's not an easy tournament. There's some great young players. There's some great teams up there. Our players won it, and it just shows the depth of this organization. So it's a good problem to have.
I got to follow that up. Is it something that you think about all the time? Like, are you sitting at breakfast thinking about, I should put him with him, driving in the car, drinking coffee? Is it something that's just, you'll see someone else and they'll have a different idea and you'll be like, yeah, that's a good idea?
There's a lot of different places and areas where I'm at, whether I'm in my house, in my car, outside, might be grocery shopping, where I'm thinking about hockey. And it's tough. Once you get into the season, it's real tough to turn the brain off and turn the thinking off. You put your head on the pillow at night, and there's usually a lot of thoughts that are going through, whether it's from that night, maybe during the game, or you're already thinking about the next day and what you need to do. The one thing what you have to do as a coach, what I think, and I think players do this, coaches do it, and I think managers have to do it too, and that's what the summers are for, is you have to get away from the game. You got to take time, and you got to decompress. You got to get back to kind of normal living, and that's why family is very important, and just getting away from the game. But it's, right now it is getting back to that time where I'm eating, thinking, sleeping hockey all the time, whether it's line combinations or practice, whatever it is.
Well, you must have had a good summer because you seem refreshed and excited, so it's good for us. Hey, Bob?
Yeah, that's great for us. Next question comes from Put Me in Coach. Sounds like they're begging, but says, this has been a summer of analytics. This has been the thing that everybody's decided to talk about this summer for whatever reason. He wants to know, how are analytics changing your life behind the bench? Are they at all?
Well, we're starting to gather more information, and now we're just seeing where can we apply it to our game. And as a coach, how can we apply it to systematic play, or maybe it's line combinations. So I think as we start to gather more information, and there are certain things that as coaches we've always kept statistics on. It's not like baseball. Baseball is all about numbers. It's all about matchups and this guy and that guy, and that's just the way that the sport is. Hockey is getting more geared towards that, but we're still trying to, for me as a coach, just still trying to see when you get the information, what can we take from that information, and then again, apply it for the next day, or apply it for the next season, or apply it to how you want to build your team.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you about that because I know during the summer I did a couple of things with Jarmo Kekalainen, and he would always, when asked about the analytics, he'd go into it, and of course there's Moneyball in baseball, and he would say, well, I don't really know anything about baseball, so I'm not going to talk about it. But you are a baseball guy. I know you follow it pretty well too. So what kind of similarities do you see between the two, if anything?
I don't know if there's a lot of similarities, and the reason why I say that is because baseball is it's a team sport, but it's a very individualized sport, because when you're up to bat, it's you against the pitcher. And yes, there are some team concepts, whether it's lay down a bunt, hit the other way, where you got to move somebody for the team. Hockey is a free-flowing sport, and it's constantly changing. Baseball's from pitch to pitch. And so there are some similarities, but to me, there's some big differences.
All right. Scott Wells has a question. It says, is having a true captain for the Blue Jackets important to you? The one go-to player that you can communicate with to address the team. I know you talked about this a little bit yesterday during Media Day when you were asked if there would be a captain this year. And just give us your thought process on what it means, leadership group as opposed to a single captain?
It's all about your team. It's all about your individuals, your personnel. Prior to me getting here, wherever I've coached, there's always been a captain. It doesn't mean, because we don't have a captain, doesn't mean I'm getting away for that. We have to figure out what's right for our organization, what's right for our players. This is what's worked. For 2 years now that we've kind of gone this way, we've had success. And I don't know if I said this at the luncheon yesterday, but I just said it recently about, sometimes when you put a C on one person, that one player, sometimes as other players in the room, you wait for that one player to take charge. You wait for that one player to say something. You wait for that one player to do something because you look at him and he has been handpicked by other people to be the leader of the team. And sometimes you don't want to overstep or step into his bounds and step on his toes with his responsibilities. And what's worked for us is we got really good leaders in the room, and we got a number of them. And it's not just necessarily the guys that wear the A's. And it's worked for us. And again, having me said that, it doesn't mean that we won't name a C. It may happen in the future. It might happen in the near future. But we certainly aren't going to get pressured into, and again, I get this question all the time, all the time.
How many times at the coffee shop do you get that all summer?
When anybody wants to talk hockey, and it happens a lot, this question generally comes up.
And one other one. A lot lately.
A lot lately, yes.
Yeah, I agree. And we're not going to go there. What's this from? Mike? All right, expectations are now set for playoffs in my eyes, is what he says. But what needs to happen in your eyes to push through the first round? Go Jackets.
Need to continue to get better. Continue to get better in all facets of our game. Again, we've taken strides. When we go back and we look at last season, and there are some games that you look at, New York Rangers at home. I was thinking about the Washington Capitals in Washington early on in the year. We had some real struggles in our game. And the Ranger game at home, it looked like we hadn't played the game ever, especially as a group. But that was the adversity that I was talking about. But where we got to at the end of the season, where we came from at that point of the season, there was a lot of growth. But now we have to continue to grow. We have to continue. We can't show up, here tomorrow and think, well, we were a good team at the end of the year. We lost in 6 games to the Pittsburgh Penguins. We're going to go out and skate today, and we're going to pick up right there at that moment. It's not going to happen. For the summer, you always regress a little bit, but now it's getting back to that work, that structure, the understanding. There's a lot of discipline, a lot of sacrifice that the player showed, and you played the game. You have to have a lot of trust in your teammates. You have to understand your role, your position, what you need to do in every situation. You got to trust that your teammates are going to do theirs, and we got to start that from day one.
And you know what I find interesting? I don't know if it was until later in my career when I was an older player and I realized that the window was closing on the Stanley Cup or the playoffs or being in the NHL, that I held myself and hoped that my teammates held themselves more accountable. And you have a young group here, and that makes your job that much more important to make sure you crack that whip on accountability. And like you say, coming off the off season, is this a time now you have to start immediately on this and making sure that ball is rolling the right way?
Well, we started it last season. We actually started it, in our last meeting with the players. Because I think it's something that we had gone through the year before when we tied Minnesota but lost out on the tiebreaker. We didn't make the playoffs. And we talked about the attitude and what they need to do over the summer. And we still got off to a slow start. So it was actually proved to be a better teaching point that we could use, that we need to do more. And I think all the players understood that when they look back at it, that we can't just expect to show up and we're going to pick up right where we left off. So it is about that attitude of coming in and saying, well, we got to work and we got to get better. And JD and Jarmo have said it. We finished 15th out of 30 teams. That's middle of the road. And the one thing that I learned in playing against Pittsburgh in the playoffs is it's really hard. It's really hard to win. And we're a long ways from, I shouldn't say a long ways. We have come a long ways, but we still have further to go to start winning playoff series and continue to win the Stanley Cup.
Well, Todd, thank you very much. It's great to sit down and have this first conversation with you. We appreciate it, and good luck tomorrow when you really got to hit it.
Yeah, well, just so you guys know, Jody talked about how my mind always works in thinking about hockey. Part of it is all the sleep that I lose, and a lot of times how I devote so much time thinking about these interviews that I get with you two guys.
Oh, we could do this all day. You know that.
I do know that.
See how far
It's
he's
great
coming.
having you here.
See how far he's coming a year with this.
I'm excited. I'm excited.
Todd, thank you very much.
All right.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Todd.
Head coach Todd Richards joining us here on Blue Jackets social media today. Sergei Bobrovsky is going to step into the hot seat next, but first I've got to tell you that you can you can have lunch with me at the Roosters in Pickerington location next Friday. That is September the 26th. It's a special 60-minute edition of CBJ in 30. So it's CBJ in 60, something like that. You can wear your Blue Jackets gear and you get 10% off your bill. That is at Roosters in Pickerington next Friday. Ladies and gentlemen, this man needs no introduction. He's normally between the pipes. Now he's between us. You got a better job when you're between the pipes. Sergei Bobrovsky is with us right now.
Sergey, did you get taller?
Yeah,
Same?
Yeah.
Heavier?
Just more upright.
More weight?
More
muscle?
upright. Did Ian Clark tell you have to be more upright even during interviews?
In the
Like this?
Especially in the traffic.
Sit like this?
You had a pretty good summer, didn't you?
Yeah, summer was really good. We went my hometown for 3-4 weeks. Then we went to Maldives couple of weeks, France couple of weeks, and then I went to Austria for 5 weeks to preparation for the season.
Todd Richards just talked to us about in the summertime you have to get away from the game and kind of, cool off a little bit. You got pretty far away from it, didn't you?
Yeah. Most of the things, really good things, comes when you're relaxing, and so that's I try to use this time.
Bob, did you watch the playoffs at all when you left here?
Not really. It was tough, but I followed the results and watched the highlights.
When you see the New York Rangers go to the Stanley Cup Finals and lose out to the Los Angeles Kings, are you jealous? Are you mad? Are you angry? Are you disappointed? Are you all of those things?
No, it's just a life, and you recognize how tough it to win. It's how many overtimes, how many 7 games. How it happens by moments, by seconds. By deflection or something like that. So it's really tough, and that's the way it goes.
Is it tougher though that you think that you're that much closer? Are the Blue Jackets that close to the Rangers?
I think that's pretty good thing, we still have the really good chance to be there, to be in the Stanley Cup playoffs and to reach the Stanley Cup. That's the good thing.
Yeah, that's the way I felt. I mean, when you look at the New York Rangers and the Columbus Blue Jackets, it starts in net. 2 of the best goalies in the world, and that's one of you, Bob. So, I mean, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, and how many times was a team which jumps in the 8th spot, in the playoffs, win the Stanley Cup? So you got playoffs. It's different hockey. It's a new season.
When you first came here a couple of years ago, did you imagine that this team would be in this spot so quickly?
Yeah, of course, of course. I try to bring what I can, but of course I expect from this team to be able to be in the playoff spot and compete for Stanley Cup.
I want to ask you about, before we get to the Twitter questions, I want to ask you about a new teammate who's an old teammate that you have this year, and Scott Hartnell. Of course, both you guys played with him in Philadelphia. Are you excited about him coming here and joining this group?
Yeah, of course. He's a great guy. It's great to have him in the locker room and on the ice, and this type of guy great to have him on your side, not to play against him. So
will it be dangerous having him and Jody back together again?
We're not together. I'm not playing.
Well, yeah.
No,
close enough.
Don't even do that. I want to back it up. I want to ask you a question. You said you went to Austria and trained a little bit. Is there something that you left here you felt you had to work on? I mean, is there something that you went there to work on, or is that just a place where you can relax and it's just you and working on your game? Or
it's kind of both. There is mostly I do physical conditioning training. So I went there 4th year, so guys know how to do that, and I trust them a lot. So and there is in calm and relaxing place as well. So it's a so beautiful place, and I bring my family too. For a couple weeks, and it's kind of both. You can work there and you can relax mentally there.
Is that elevation? like harder to breathe?
Yeah. It's not really hard to breathe, but there is the mountains, lakes, so it's a beautiful place.
Yeah, that's where they had the Olympics, right? Was it Austria?
It's not there. It's not set. It's close to Salzburg. It's 20 kilometers away. It's called Thalgau village, so it's there, and there is so beautiful nature.
Nice. I've never been, but I'd love to go. Maybe I'll go sometime.
Well, Sergei, already being one of the best goalies, there's a question for you. What are you working on that you feel is a weakness that you've got to make better for this year?
It's always you got always things to work on. It's small details, and you got so much hockey is growing up, and you have to be able to grow up too.
All right, our next question, Derdrake wants to know, how do you feel about Nick Foligno wanting to kiss you after wins instead of hugs?
I had this question 5 minutes ago, so I don't know. I don't know yet what the answer.
I would say that as long as you have the mask down, you'll be safe.
Yeah, don't do that.
Exactly.
Don't do that.
Do not lift the mask, whatever you do. Let's see. Let's get another one here for you. And we're going to have this one. 23 Days wants to know, how do you feel when you see people wearing a shirt or a jersey with your name on it? That's a good question because, I think sometimes guys don't realize the kind of effect they have on especially kids that are wearing their number. What do you think when you see that?
I would say this guy which don't really realize what you impact on the kids, what you make for the people. So it's a good feeling, but I don't know how to really what to think about.
I'll tell you this: there's a lot of young goalies in this town that are starting to wear number 72. Now, if they put in the same work ethic, they'll all be they'll equal you. But I'm telling you, it's popping up all over the place.
All over the world. I mean, I've been in Nova Scotia this summer, and there are a lot of questions were about Sergei Bobrovsky. I mean, you're making an impact in places you'll never know, Bob. So and probably in Russia too.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, right. That's good to know. Good to know.
Yeah.
Ariel Melendez wants to know, how did the hug tradition begin with Nick Foligno? Do you even know?
To be honest, I can't remember how it comes. I don't know.
Do you know how much people look forward to that at the end of a win? I can tell you from my own family, they can't wait to see the end of the line come and Nick come up to you.
Seriously?
I swear to you, I'm not
I
lying.
didn't know that either.
Yeah. I did know that too. So.
Hey, Bob. Sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, it's really good thing, It's so emotional, and it's kind of the fun thing to do that,
Sorry, I wanted to ask you. Your English is so much better. Have you been working on this, or is this something you've just kept to yourself over the years? And
no, I not kept. It's work. It's it's still not really good, I still need to work on it, but it's comfortable to give the interview,
Well, be careful with that, because you're going to have a lot of guys asking you for interviews. You don't want to do that too much. I thought you were one of the smartest people in hockey before, but now you're showing your cards.
Yeah, but still, you need to be in touch with the fans too.
That's very good, Bob.
Sergei, what is your favorite memory from the Winter Olympics last year? Someone wants to know.
Was pressure, probably. It was huge. It was unbelievable pressure. As soon as you step on the Russian land, you feel the pressure in the air. That was great experience, and that was memorable thing.
All right. Jody wants to know, what was your favorite moment from last season? Can you even get it down to one with all the exciting things that happened?
No, it's tough to pick one. Or it's even tough to pick 10 of them. It was so many great moments, and it's tough to answer.
All right. Austin Miller says, do you like all the attention that you received after Jay Onrait started the whole Bobrovsky frenzy?
I don't pay attention on it, so.
No?
No.
Oh, you got to see it. It's great.
Bobrovsky!
Isn't it?
We
enjoy it.
Yeah, it doesn't take much to entertain us, actually. What was the reason for getting Anissimov's jersey in New York City?
Just to make some fun. That's it.
What was this? You got his jersey?
Yeah, I tried to find this jersey because in the store wasn't there, and last year it was there, and this time so I try to think there is the jersey or not.
Nice.
Art would like to know, who was your idol in goal? Who's the guy that you wanted to be like?
I didn't have really idol, you know. When I grew up, we had in Novokuznetsk goalie called his name Tarasov. So I watched him a lot. I had a chance to watch him in the practice and on the games. So I took a lot from him.
Were you always a goalie, Bob, or did you play out before?
I started as a defenseman, but it wasn't too long.
No?
Let me ask you. When you're playing defense, did you always find yourself standing 2 feet in front of the goalie?
No, I couldn't remember how I played in defense.
Well, obviously not as well as you played as a goalie, so it works out, right?
Definitely not.
Thank you very much for coming in here, and thanks for. I think I speak for Jody here too, and he talked to you about the English. You know, just in realizing the importance of reaching out to the fans like that. We commend you on that, and it's just another great thing that you've done here. Yes.
And I got one more question. So today was the physical testing, and you got through it. How was it for you?
It's pretty hard. It's NHL testing, you know. It's really hard testing.
How was the bike? It's 30-second wind gate all out. Did you find it tough?
After 15 seconds, you feel it like you want to stop. You know, it's really tough, really hard.
Are you glad it's over?
I'm excited to go on a training camp and start play some games.
Well, good. One more sleep and you're there. Thanks for coming, Bob.
Yeah. Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Appreciate it. Sergei Bobrovsky joining us here on CBJ Social Media Day. Hey, go to BlueJackets.com tomorrow. You know why? Single game tickets are going on sale for the 2014-2015 season. You can secure your seats for the biggest games, and you can help us defend Nationwide Arena as we continue to roll them out, roll them in. Ladies and gentlemen, we're joined right now by the general manager of the Blue Jackets, Jarmo Kekalainen. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Your days here have been pretty eventful as of late, but now you get to the nuts and bolts of it. You've been saying here for the last couple of weeks, once training camp starts, it's all about the guys that are here for training camp, and that's pretty much where you're at right now, isn't it?
Absolutely. Traverse City was a great start, and we saw some great games there, good young prospects that are going to compete for spots starting tomorrow, and I can't wait to get started.
When you talk about Traverse City, I want to ask you about that. Great success, as you said. You win the 4 games. Your young players get a lot of experience. You watch them play in that tournament, but how much do you learn, or what do you, from seeing that, what do you expect to see when you get some of those higher profile guys playing with the big boys here in these NHL preseason games?
Well, I want them to come in with the mindset of, I'm going to make this team. And that means that they can't be too much overwhelmed by the presence of the veterans that have played in the league for 1,000 games. And it means that they got to make the right decision with the right type of confidence, the right type of respect for the veteran players. Not so much on the ice, a little more respect off the ice, and just play with your instincts and be ready to compete for a spot, because none of those veteran guys are going to give up their spots easily, so you're going to have to go in and take it.
When you look at Traverse City and you look at this organization where it is today, I mean, a year ago, I mentioned to Todd Richards, it was the talk of almost making the playoffs. And now we're talking about first round excitement but disappointment. Are you excited with, obviously you're excited, but is this the expectations you thought you'd be at right here, right now with this group, this young group, and the steps that they're taking?
Yeah, I think that with the youth and the young players, you expect improvement from within, and we sort of knew that our young players are good and they're going to get better, and we're going to try to push them. The coaches are coaching, the strength and conditioning department's doing their job, and the guys have invested their time. So you always expect that growth, and I've kept saying this, that the off-season is exciting time, as weird as it sounds, for those young players. You can make remarkable improvement just within 4 months to get from being a boy to being a man, and that's what it takes to be successful in the National Hockey League. But yeah, absolutely. I think we're going to keep getting better. I think we're just getting started. We have a long ways to go, but there's a lot of room for improvement with our young group. But also the thing that I like about our group is that our young players are pushing the older guys to get better as well. I don't think that you're over the hill if you're 30 years old. You can still get better in many areas and prolong your career.
And you're talking about a group. Now, I've heard there was up to 14 players here this summer training. In your eyes, how positive, how good of a sign is that these kids are committed to this organization?
I think it's great, and that's part of, we can't make them obviously do anything that any structured program or they can use our facilities, and they've taken advantage of that. And the atmosphere that we want to create is that the guys push each other, they compete against each other, they have fun together, and they grow together. And a lot of our guys committed to that, and they stayed here, and the results can be seen now. We've seen it in the physicals. We talked to the doctors this morning, and they all said the same thing, that everybody looks great, and the young guys have gotten bigger, they've gotten stronger, and this is the best they've looked so far in their memory of physical. So that's the first step. Obviously, the testing is the next step. We see exactly where they were before and where they are now. The main step that we have to see is how that translates on the ice. So that's why we can't wait to get started.
Well, there's one guy that you talked about this yesterday, isn't exactly at overall 100%, and Dustin Burton would like to know what the status is on Nathan Horton starting this training camp.
Well, he's still strengthening his core and trying to stabilize his sore back. I'm not a doctor, so I don't know if I can speak in the right terms of it. But he needs to get stronger, needs to get more stable with it, and hopefully he'll be back soon.
All right, let's go to some of the questions from Twitter. I'd like to know. This is Wow, I'll see how you take this. What do you think is going to be the toughest month of this season, and why? And obviously that's coming just from looking at the schedule and opponents in a different month, but how do you look at the schedule?
Well, one thing that we're going to talk about a lot, and we have already, is that we want to have a strong start. So, we're starting in October. We didn't have a strong start last year. We didn't have a strong start the year before. We want to have a strong start this time. And the first step's been taken already. We're well prepared physically. We've had a good off season. Now we want to prepare as a team. The systems and the coaches want to get their demands down on individual level and as units and as a team, special teams, all those things. And we want to have a strong start. So I would say October. I'm not really looking at the schedule and the hard parts of the schedule, because everybody plays 82 games and everybody goes through tough parts and a little bit easier parts of the schedule, and then at the end you got to have that crunch at the end when you're gearing towards the playoffs to get above that threshold there that you need to get up to make the playoffs. And so let's say that it's October and March. Well,
that's a good point too, because you have a California trip in October, and sometimes that can go either way. Sometimes that's a good bonding thing early, but let's face the facts. You're going to go out there and have to take on the Kings and the Sharks and the Ducks very early in the season when you're trying to get off to a good start. That trip in itself can be a challenge.
Yeah, those are some of the best teams in the league. Obviously, the defending Stanley Cup champions in LA and San Jose Sharks. A tremendous team last year in the regular season, disappointed in the playoffs. They're going to be hungry to come back this year and prove themselves again. But no games are easy in this league. So whenever you think that you're going to get an easy game, you're usually going to lose that game. So I'm sure our team has a lot of respect for those opponents. We're going to be prepared. We're going to be ready to go.
Yeah, if you look just at the Metropolitan Division in itself, the teams that didn't make the playoffs, they're not coming into camp. They're not here today in training camp saying, oh, this isn't going to be a very good season for us. There's teams that are all at the same point that the Columbus Blue Jackets. How important is it for you as general manager to make sure that you lead this ship with that attitude all the time?
Well, the expectations get higher as you get a little bit more success, but so does our confidence. I think that we're getting respect around the league now. People rank us higher. That means that the expectations are higher from outside the organization. But I just think that it's most important that we have those high expectations for ourselves, and that comes through knowing that we've done the hard work and we're prepared. We have that added confidence, and that therefore we expect big things out of our group. So we know everybody's getting prepared. Everybody's trying to get better and competing against each other and trying to win and get into the playoffs. I think the most important thing for us is to be focused, and we've had a great off season. Now let's get ready for the regular season with a good preseason here, and have a strong start.
Was it a long off season?
It's always a long off season when you don't go far in the playoffs, but as I said, with a young group, it allows us to also have a great off season. So look at the positive side of it, and we had got the bitter ending with Bowen out after the first round of playoffs. We got a little taste of success, so that should leave us hungry for this year. Our young group's going to be stronger and bigger and better and more mature and more experienced, all those things. So let's get better as a team now. Let's get prepared, and we're ready.
Speaking of your young players, Twig would like to know, what is the process for you when you're deciding if a rookie prospect is ready to make the team? What kind of things are you looking for?
Well, I think that there are many different things, but the main thing, the 90% of the evaluation is obviously how he plays in the games, in the scrimmages, and in the exhibition games against the other NHL teams. And there's that physical part of maturity, and then there's the mental part of maturity. I talked about in the beginning that they have to be confident enough to know that I'm going to make that team, and not having too much respect for the veteran players on the ice. But everything from the little things that they do with confidence to being able to adjust and play with the systems of Coach Richards to being physically and mentally ready in all different areas. That's what we look at. That's what we evaluate. We want to put them into situations that they can succeed, not put them into situations where they fail too early in their career. We want them to play a lot so that they will keep improving. So if a guy is a top two-line player expected to or used to playing almost 20 minutes every game, we probably don't want him on the fourth line playing 8 minutes a game. It's not going to be good for his development. So all those things together, and we're going to come to a decision at the end of the camp.
And in saying that, if you look at last year, you got Boone Jenner and Ryan Murray who go to Traverse City and then come to Big Camp and then came in and made an impact on this organization. I don't know, was that something that was expected going into Traverse City, or is it just sit back and prove to you and the organization that you're ready with those mature intangibles?
I'm almost always a little optimistic of when you have high-profile prospects like that. Let's hope that they're a little bit more mature than we think. We knew they were great prospects. We made some roster decisions then that sort of left room in the lineup for anybody to see that, okay, there's a spot there available for somebody who earns it. And Boone Jenner and Ryan Murray came in here last year and they earned the spot. They were some of the best players in the Traverse City tournament. And right from the training camp, start of the training camp through exhibition season, it was clear to everybody on our staff, from coaches to management, that those guys were going to make our team. And not only that, but during the season, they proved to us that they were going to make our team better, and they got better and better as the season went on. We made similar roster decisions this year with our group, and we have some good young prospects coming into camp. Whether they're going to be ready or not, we will see.
So there's potential for a similar situation of one or two guys maybe pushing for a job?
Absolutely.
Well, that's exciting.
Boone's Goons would like to know, will Boone Jenner be moved to center? Maybe that's more of a coach question than a GM question, but as it stands right now, you do have a hole at center. Is he a possibility?
Boone's played center all his career, and obviously that's coach's decision how he wants to build the lines. But that's something we've talked about, and it's great to have a versatile forward like that in your lineup that can play the wing or the center. He's good in the face-offs. He does a lot of good things defensively, and you can rely on him taking the big responsibility down low as a center, which is the hardest part, I think, from moving from wing to center. That's a good possibility. Yeah, absolutely.
You talked yesterday at the media luncheon about, again, focusing on guys that are here. There are opportunities. Just like you told Jody, there's an opportunity for a surprise guy, but because of the situation you're in right now in your top six, there's some opportunities for some guys to maybe open some doors, aren't there?
Absolutely, and we talked about those young guys. I thought Alexander Wenberg was great in Traverse City tournament. We brought in Simon Hjalmarsson from the Swedish League. He had 57 points there last year. That compares with anybody that now plays in the NHL and how they played in the Swedish League before coming over. Brian Gibbons played on the same line with Sidney Crosby. That's a pretty demanding spot to play on. So if he can play on that line, he can probably play on our top lines too. And it remains to be seen that if he's there for long term or how he does. But he's a talented player, and there are going to be other guys that can grow into bigger roles too. So once this training camp gets going and we get going with the exhibition games, it'll be a great challenge for our young guys, and there's a great opportunity for anybody to take a spot on our team.
How exciting is training camp for you and your scouting staff? I mean, this really shows you, I guess as a scout, especially when you scouted and you have your scouts here, they've done a lot of hard work all last season, and they have faith in their guys. They put their neck out for some guys. Is this a real one of the big rewards? Is have these guys in camp and under your kind of watch with the organization?
Yeah, obviously, you scouts are on the road all year long, and they're pushing for their players, filing hundreds and thousands of reports on players that they like or dislike, and then when you see them get signed or get drafted and develop into a player that might make your lineup, it's exciting for them and it's rewarding for them, and that's a big part of the system that we have in place that keeps those guys involved, keeps them rewarded, and we're all excited to get started here, and it won't be long until we're already in the exhibition games. Now that we start tomorrow, it's Friday and Sunday, we're already playing games.
That's great. As a player, it was great getting into the games.
I had one more thing for you. There was a question, one more question, and Jody talked about being a scout, which you were for a very long time. Now you're a general manager. What have you learned about being a general manager since you've been in this role? What's the what's the toughest part of it, making that transition from scout to GM? What have you learned in this job?
Well, there's obviously so many different things on your plate. It's like we often call it, we have this big family and you have 25 kids and they all have their different problems and good days and bad days, and everybody who has children knows that those can be challenging, and we always joke about putting out fires every day, and that's a big part of it. There's always something new that comes up, and as much as it's exciting, it can be a little bit frustrating at times too, but that's what I signed up for. I love it. I love every day of it, and I'm just excited about the challenge.
Yeah, Jarmo, thank you very much. We're very excited about it as well, watching these guys accept that challenge going on the ice tomorrow.
Thank you.
Jarmo Kekalainen, Blue Jackets general manager, with us here on Blue Jackets Social Media Day.
That went well.
Yeah.
We had some great guests.
Fast hour.
Good questions on Twitter. I like that. Like I said, it helped keep us afloat.
We're always looking for help staying afloat. What are you excited about tomorrow? Okay, let me ask you this. From a player standpoint, you talked about the testing. To get on the ice, what do you want to see tomorrow when these guys lace them up?
Well, I know as a player, you just want to get through practice. You don't want to be dying out there, exhausted, back of the line, laying down. You don't want to stick out like a sore thumb. So I want to see these guys after. I want to see that sense of check the box, training camp's on, I got through practice. It wasn't near as bad as I thought it was going to be. There'll be competitions, but I look to those to start during the games. It's hard to make a first impression or a standout impression in practice unless you're going to pick a fight. And then if someone does that, I don't mind that. But, there'll be some highlight reel.
How did you know that?
Well, I got some tips along my way. But here, there'll be guys scoring nice goals. There'll be guys you'll be looking for chemistry. We'll be looking maybe too close to some of these situations. But I think during the exhibition games, you'll see it kind of sort itself out. It's incredible what these guys know about their players. I always find that amazing. The coach, Todd Richards, Jarmo Kekalainen, and his scouting staff, what they know about each individual out there, we see them as numbers and jerseys. If you were to sit with Jarmo or a scout, they would tell you, focus on this guy, watch him do that. And that's where you see the skill set of some of these players. So for us to watch tomorrow, it might just be fun to have the energy and the guys working hard out there. But if we get a chance to find 3 or 4 players that we can zone in on and watch exactly what they do and how they do it, it's impressive.
Is it tough as a player to start your real first practice Friday and be on the ice playing in a competitive game on Sunday?
No, it's great because I'm just telling you, the more time the coach has to put you through drills and battle drills and one-on-ones, it's just a grind. When you get to play the game, you settle in your position. There's camaraderie of getting together with whoever it is, that 20 out of 52 guys that are playing that night. The guys that are watching will be jealous because they're watching someone play left wing when I want to be out there playing left wing. Creates the competition right away. So it's really a competitive nature. Tonight for the guys is exciting. They'll have a little thing upstairs where they get together and have dinner as a group. They'll explain that there's jobs open to anyone to make the team. It'll create a little feeling in your gut for the veterans and for the young guys, fearless, excited just to get out there and make an impression. And then you won't sleep much tonight because, honestly, you've put a lot of hard work into being a Columbus Blue Jacket in the offseason. You get to tomorrow morning, get here, get your skates on. That's when you settle down and just be a hockey player.
And all the information you need on training camp is going to be at BlueJackets.com. We talk about the preseason games on Sunday. There will be 2 of them 1:30 in Carolina on Sunday afternoon. We'll actually broadcast, we'll have a radio broadcast for you of the evening game against the St. Louis Blues at 6:30 right here at Nationwide Arena. And then it begins, and then it is fast and furious for 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's great. And you're not doing 2 games on Sunday?
No, we're not doing it. We tried. We talked about it. We were worried. No, we did.
One is good.
We were worried about the window. I wanted to do it just to say I did it, which then by Monday I'd be complaining to you that I did it, right?
No.
No. But anyway, the timing wasn't right on it. So
Well,
we'll
good.
do
We'll be looking
game.
forward to that game on Sunday night.
And you're going to do some preseason games with me, right?
Yeah, I'll be doing some preseason games on radio. Not Sunday.
Right.
I have to travel.
You have a big important.
Yeah, but I'll be
Important
listening on the radio.
Important. No, you won't. Important shindig for this guy on Sunday. You'll be listening on your phone.
Yes.
Right. See? Saved you. This is
Thank
great,
you.
man.
This is great. You did a great job.
No,
Thank
you did too. It's great. Right, back in the saddle again. Here we are. All right, that's going to do it for Blue Jacket Social Media Day. Thanks for being there. Thanks for your questions. And, of course, again, you'll be able to find us here a lot. For Jody Shelley, I'm Bob McElligott. And thanks for being here for the start of Blue Jackets training camp.